Hello, happy day. It's not good morning because it's like 12:30. So I added running into my walk gradually, slowly. I've been kind of writing about it, actually dictating into my phone about it because I have this germ of a idea in my head. Anyway, I had to start running really slowly because here's a funny thing. If you go to a doctor and you say, "Doc, what am I going to do?" Really constipated. One of the things they're probably going to tell you is walk, because walking stimulates the peristaltic action. Okay, so if walking stimulates peristaltic action, what do you think running does? No, two ways about it. So when I first started, I had to start at the second day. The first day, I had to run home. After that, I started walking and running on a treadmill to get my body used to the action. And I started trying to figure out an effective way to be able to run without having to run home, because I walk a circuit around my little town area that goes 6 miles, and I've just added some running into that. There's not bathrooms everywhere. There's 2 places, and neither of them are open on Sundays, where there's some type of facilities. So, I have to be really careful to make sure that when I'm doing my walk at all, that I'm doing it on an empty, gut. And this is a big thing for a lot of people, especially, people who are handicapped by issues relating to bowels or bladder. I mean, who wants to talk about this? But honestly, there are a lot of people, particularly women who've had kids, who have bladder issues, and then people who have bowel issues, and the last thing you want to do is get out walking somewhere and have something going on. Now, I have a friend that I can talk to about these things. Boy, thank God for that. And at one time she said, well, they make those little pads that you can use for any kind of incontinence, and that's true. That's true. But whereas those might be okay for urinary incontinence, if you're talking about bowel stuff, that's going to be completely inadequate. And who in their right mind wants to do something like adult diapering up and then going out for a several-mile walk? I just can't imagine it. So, I had to kind of invent for myself a way to conquer this problem. And I guess there are like 4 things that I've done to try and conquer this problem. The first one is to write down every food that tends to cause rapid emptying. They call it short transit time. I write down those foods and I keep a list of them. Those are just things I choose not to eat. There are some things like any food that has butter on it. I can't eat that kind of food. I just can't. The second thing is to be sure that I don't eat anything before I take a walk. Now, since I started running, I've actually found that I still have to drink a protein shake before I go, but I have it really early in the morning, like 5:30 or 6, and I make sure that, because everything you eat or drink is going to create peristalsis, you know what I mean, in the digestive tract. So you take something down and it's going to cause things to move further down. So you got to allow time for that. And, I never walk without making sure I've made a trip to the bathroom first. Another thing that I do is I go in a 1-mile circuit around my neighborhood first, and then head back to the house and hit the restroom before I go on the long walk, because it's dangerous for me. And I cannot walk with any kind of peace of mind thinking that I might have some type of an episode while I'm walking. The way these things present themselves is I'll be walking and all of a sudden I get that, oh my God, feeling. And then I'm going to start thinking, where's the closest restroom? How far do I have to walk to get to it? And this is crippling, because then you get the fear, the heart pounding and the sweats and the wet palms, cramping in the stomach. The fear intensifies the need to hit a restroom. I'll tell you what, for people who have this type of problem, it is crippling. So I make sure my guts are empty. I go on the 1 mile walk, come back to the house, make sure that, you know, I'm cool. And then I've planned my route so that there are a couple of places that I can stop if need be. Now on Sunday, I've put my husband on notice. If I call you, you have to be able to come out and get me. And he knows, you know, he's only had to come out and get me once, but, you know, I simply knew that I couldn't make it all the way home. And waiting until he came to get me was agony. But, you know, thank you, Lord. It's been close, but I've made it home every time. And this is just, like I said, it's crippling. So the human instinct, I think, what we would typically do is stay in these walls. And I think that's why a lot of people that have this kind of an issue with either the bowels or the bladder, they tend to stay home. You know, we instead can get our information through home shopping or watching TV or whatever. It develops a very sedentary lifestyle. We get heavier and heavier. We lose more and more mobility. Our breathing capacity becomes less because we can't get out. You know, for a long time, I had a treadmill in my house. I put 1,700 miles on it because I could not leave the house. I had tried at one point to go for a walk around the town that we used to live in and ended up stuck in a cornfield. You know, because it was a place to hide, and, you know, and I knew that I simply couldn't make it home, and I didn't feel like crapping my pants while I'm out. So this is a video that I'm probably never going to publish, but you know what, I know there's got to be people out there that suffer with the same problem. So, you know, I did start taking Metamucil, and that is a great thing because if I take it in the morning after I've taken my walk, it takes, you know, it just, I compare it to cleaning baby bottles with a bottle brush. You know, it gets all the way to the edges of the colon and it moves stuff out. You take that stuff during the day or before you go to bed, and in the morning, you're going to have a poop the size of a small puppy. My sister, who's a doctor, told me that, and it is honestly true. And, you know, so I do that every day after my walk, not before my walk. And it has kept me from having to take Miralax. But anyway, so anyway, I'm running now. And I start out and I walk about a mile, and then I gradually get into running. And here's what I do. I look down the block. And so I'm looking down the block, and I see telephone poles and mailboxes and stuff like that. And I look and I see one that I think I can run to. And I say, okay, that's my stopping point. That's a good stopping point. And then I look beyond it, and I wasn't doing this at first because I didn't have the self-confidence. I didn't know that I could do this, but I thought maybe I could. I look beyond it, and I see one little landmark that's just a tad past it, you know, maybe 10 feet past it. That's a better stopping mark for me. If I can make it to there, that's better. And then I look beyond that, and I see one that's best. And so I have my good, my better, and my best where I'm going to stop. And you know what's happened? It's crazy. But now I can run, and I go right past the best. Sometimes I'm running for 3 or 4 blocks with no stopping. It amazes me. Today I ran 6 blocks with no stopping. And I'm running, and I'm like, this doesn't hurt. This doesn't feel bad. This really doesn't feel any different exertion-wise, or let's say pain-wise, than walking. It felt like a really good workout. And, you know, I'm feeling real tight and comfortable afterwards. I'm not having pain. Please don't let me have pain. But, you know, I'm not anticipating pain because I'm well stretched. I'm, you know, doing some lunges, doing some leg stretches, stretching out my back, stretching out my arms, doing the things that I need to do, making sure that I'm well hydrated, although I do not drink on the walk. And it's only up to like 70 degrees now. I don't know what it's going to be like later, but if it gets to the point where I have to drink on the walk, I'm probably going to walk/run. I'm probably going to have to shorten it, because either that or I'm going to be hitting all those restrooms. You know, it is the power of knowing that something is attainable and then saying, you know what, I'm not even going to just hope or wish that I can do this, because I know that I can do it. And here it goes. And I'm doing it. And I visualize myself running. And I visualize myself being strong. And I visualize myself wearing clothes that are comfortable, that don't have to accommodate, you know, excess fat that makes me uncomfortable. I visualize that now. And, you know, my desire is so strong to be healthy. And I'm just completely claiming that I am healthy right now. So I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing, which is to put food in my mouth and in my body that's good and that's healthy, that is going to aid me. And some of it that's just super yummy, you know. And if I want to have something that is a little bit off track, then I just go ahead and have it in a small amount, you know, in a moderate amount. But I never have something junky in the beginning part of the day. And I don't schedule anything in the time where I need to be out walking. That's my time. Because, you know, I may be a stay-at-home mom. My job is to be the buffer between my family and the rest of the world. It's to make sure that everything moves smoothly. And it's you know, I don't get paid, and I don't have a whole lot of education, but I have this job, and I do it every day. And maybe I'm not perfect, but I enjoy what I do, and I do it creatively, and I look forward to seeing my kids when they get home. I look forward to them going too. I look forward to my walk. And for a long time, I felt guilty about the 2 hours that I was taking to do my walk. 2 hours, wow, that's a long time. Yeah, that's why I started running, so that I could complete the 6 miles in less than 2 hours. And now I'm down to 87 minutes. So I'm gradually stepping up the intensity and lowering the time that I devote to it. But you know, I cherish that time, and I protect it. I don't let things come in and take that time away from me lightly. I have a son who has autism. We have a lot of people that come and go because of that, you know, service providers and stuff. There's a meeting every week for this, that, or the other thing. I never schedule it during that time. I just don't do it. I don't do my shopping during that time. I don't go back to bed. I thank God that I'm a morning person, but you know, the reason I'm a morning person is because I'm in bed at 8:39 every night, strapping on that CPAP machine and putting myself to sleep. You know, you got to put yourself first, and you got to know and believe in yourself and own it. I am an intelligent person. I am creative. I am strong. There's so much that I have inside myself, and I'm not going to put myself down anymore. So what I want to say to you is this. Have you put yourself down recently? What are the negative things that you've said to yourself? Because just like you can think yourself sick when you've been exposed to an illness and you think, oh man, I'm going to get that. You know, you can think yourself dead. There are people who have died because of their thought process, because they've been so afraid of a certain thing that they've died, or been so depressed that their body has just quit on them. You can think yourself into a whole lot of stuff, but I'm here to say you can think yourself positive too. You can think yourself strong. You can think yourself healthy, but you have to own it, and you have to believe it, and you have to believe in yourself. And when those negative thoughts come in, you got to give them no real estate in your head. You just got to learn to distance yourself from negativity.